All right. So let's look at here, right? We see price came up historically. We back in 2022. Okay. We see a level here. Price came up. It was rejected. Okay. We can also see the peaks and valleys. Let's look at more peaks and valleys. If we go
Now what,
down,
now how far out is this chart? It's not, you said 2022, so are you doing
yeah.
a 5-year chart? Okay.
I mean, I'm going back as far as I need to just get some historical data,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So here I'm probably like 10 year, I got a 10-year chart, but I ain't going back 10 years because like no price action 10 years ago is affecting what's happening today.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's just make some lines. Let's just look at peaks and valleys, right? So we can see here. Let me extend this out a little bit more, and you can kind of start seeing the trends. Look at here. We see a peak over here without even zooming in. We see a peak here. We see a peak here. Let me get my circle out. And we probably gonna end on this. We got 6 more minutes to go. Okay. Got a peak here. We got a peak here. And look what price did the next day. Earnings made it gap up. It gapped up above this. What was resistance is now, when it comes back down to it, it's now support. In addition to that, right? Let's look at this gap that was created. Okay, let's look at this gap that was created. In addition to that, we now have a buyer's gap. I'd like to notate my gaps with yellow thick dashed lines on a 2, yellow, boom. And I can call it buyer's gap, but for the sake of time, I'm not gonna change it. And I'm gonna notate the bottom of that gap too. Okay. So what this tells me, without going any further, when price comes back to visit 141.22, it's a good chance that it's gonna bounce, period. Okay. So without even going up or down, let's just look. Voila. Look what the fart happened. When price came back to visit this gap, it found some buyers and it went up. It went up. If you would have got in at 141, right? If you would have had enough patience to wait for price to come back to you, you could have got in at 140, 141 and rolled this joker up.
Mm.
177. That's $30. $30 in that gap. I mean, in that ride up, in hindsight. But you damn sure would have made money. Okay. So let's
Yeah.
continue to chart. Matter of fact, let's look more at this gap. Look what happened again.
Wow.
Jeez. Right? It came back down to revisit this gap again. Let's notate this stuff, right? Let's notate it because I did not look at it before. I just charted my gap. It came back and visited 1, 2 times. Okay. So what this think about the story of the think about the story that's happening here. There are buyers in control of this territory. Okay. This whole entire gap right here, there are buyers in control of this territory. So if you choose price, if you choose to come back into my territory, I'm a buyer, I'm gonna push you up. Heavy buying makes the price go up, heavy selling makes the price go down, right? So if there are buyers present, buyers is gonna buy up this thing all day long. And that's what happened. It came back down and visited this buyer zone on 5/22 on March, April, May 19th, 2022, and it came back again November 7th, 2022, and it found buyers both times. Well, guess what? It came back down a third time, and it went in it a whole lot more. But guess where it went to? Lo and behold, it went to the line that we drew way back here. The line that was once support. I'm sorry, the line that was once resistance. Remember, we drew this line and we were not zoomed out. We drew this line and we kept this line. We did not change this line.
Wow.
And what did price do? Not only did price come back into a buyer zone, but it also hit what was once resistance that is now support. So now we got confluence. We got two things that telling us this price is about to zoom the hell up out of here. Price come back down and it's in a
Wow.
buyer zone. Price come back down and it hit my line. I don't need anybody to tell me what I believe price is about to do at this time. Just with these two freaking lines and the knowledge of gaps, I believe price is about to take off. Guess what price did? It took off. Price took off. It came down to 133 and it zoomed. It zoomed. And guess what? If you would have had a trailing stop in, oh my God, Edgar, if you would have been trading stocks and you had a trailing stop in, you would still be in this freaking stinking trade. You would still be in this trade if this is at the beginning of 2023. You would still be in this trade. Price has not come down yet. Like, I don't know what your trade plan would have been. Could have been.
That expires, right?
Huh?
Don't you have to purchase like a far enough contract in order to be able to continue?
If this was options, like, you would have to buy a leap. Like, you would have to get one that expires 12 months from now.
That makes sense.
Right? So you would have to have some pretty deep pockets. Okay. Let's just say 365 days at least, you would buy a leap. So next January, right? If you would do it, it's gonna cost you $11,000
Dang.
for one contract.
You ever buy
Okay.
just contract? Do you ever
Huh?
just buy? You ever just buy one contract?
Oh, absolutely. People buy one contract all the time.
Hmm.
But in our group, I don't know nobody who put 11,000 on the contract.
Yeah, I just bought Nvidia one contract for tomorrow. I mean, so okay, that's
Right. So we buying all this time, right? We buying all this time so that we can stay in it like a year or a half a year or several months and not worry about theta decay going against us. Okay. So, but anyway, we're still charting. We're still charting. We're learning to trust the charts. We went all the way back. Now we at 2023, right? So we in this trade and let's look for some more peaks and valleys. I'm over time, but I'm gonna end it right here. Okay. Let's look. We see another gap. Okay. This is charting. This is charting, y'all. I see another gap right here. Okay. See, I wish I wouldn't have shown you what happened because you would think Ken cheating. All right, here's a gap. Let's see if we can make it big like this. We don't want nobody to think Ken is doing this stuff just because it's hindsight. We want you to, I want to show you how I would chart these gaps. Okay, there's another gap, and we're going to chart the bottom of the gap and the top of the gap. Look what happened with price. Price came back down. Here is another entry. This is another entry for this because it came back to revisit where the buyers were. This is where the patients come in at. Actually, no, this was not the first one. The first one was right here. This is the first entry. Price, the gap here, buyers are in control of this whole entire area.
That is so cool.
Buyers are in control of this whole entire area. Uh-oh, I didn't want to go too far. So here's your second entry. Here's your first entry. Okay. Boom. I'm in this trade. You ride it up to however long your trade plan tells you to ride it up. So what happens when it comes back down to this area? You already know what happens. Buyers are still in what? Control of this entire area. Okay. So now we see that we could now, oh man, look at the historical data. Watch this line I draw right here.
Oh wow. So
Look at that.
New support, right?
Exactly. What was once resistance has now become what?
Support.
Period.
Support.
Period. Look, if I extend that line out even further, you can kind of see all the times that price has come to this freaking stinking 176.76. Duplicated. 176.76. Guess what? Right here, it penetrated it and it became support. Guess what? Here, it became resistance again. It became resistance again. It became resistance again. Oh, I skipped one. We became resistance right here. And we became resistance right here again. Okay.
Wow.
But this time, when we became resistance, we came back up. So all those times we was resistant, That means that the buyers was at the door pounding. Boom, we kicking your door in. Boom, boom, we kicking your door in. So by the time the buyers came back again, they were successful. They kicked the door in and they were able to regain control over this line. This 176.76, the buyers regained control over it. So guess what? So now we got a gap. Price came back, revisited the gap, found buyers. Price came back down, revisited that same exact support line that we drew. Doesn't it look very similar to what happened down here, y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to what happened
Yeah.
down here with Palo Alto. It came, it found some, what was once resistance, it found some support in the middle of a buyer's gap, and it took the hell off. Guess what it's doing right now? It found some support in the buyer's gap, and it took the hell off. Guess what we're going to keep doing, y'all? We're going to keep charting. Guess what? I found another level. Boom, right here. This is a mountain high. Guess what price did? What did, man, listen. The charts don't lie. What did price do when it came back to this level? It found some buyers. Now, listen, look again. And I suppose it ended a long time ago. But I want you to catch this charting. What we got here. What do y'all see? Right here.
Gap.
Another freaking stinking gap. Now, let's play. Let's talk about this gap. Okay. We're going to make the gap yellow. We're going to make it dashed. And we're going to keep it at a 2. We're going to duplicate it. And we're going to put it here. Look at the story of this gap. Look at the story of this gap. Price came in the gap. Buyers still in control of this whole entire area. Buyers are still in control of this whole entire area. In addition to buyers being in control of this whole entire area, do not forget about the long historical line that we have right here. Don't forget about it. Don't forget about this long historical line that we got way back from April 2022. Okay, let me duplicate it and let me put it up here so we'll know. When price comes back to visit that, that's a huge support line. Although it's at the bottom of this buyer's gap where the buyers are still in control, it's at the bottom. That's a good chance that when price comes back down here, buyers are going to take this thing and go to a whole new level. We're not done. We're still charting one. It took us 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and we still charting one company. We're still charting one company, and we haven't even got to today yet. Okay, so here goes another mountain high. Thank y'all for hanging in there with me. I hope you're learning something. Here goes another mountain high. Okay,
great.
Price came up here. It was rejected at the mountain high. It was pushed back down to where? The top of the buyer's gap. Don't get rid of your lines, y'all. It was pushed down to the top of the buyer's gap. We found some buyers here. We're going to ride it up. It was a little small rejection right here. That's why that candle is red for the day. It was a little small rejection right here, but it found enough to push off. Now, okay, without going any further, because I'm going to stop right here. Where would be your next entry point if all we knew was right here? If this is resistance, price was rejected here, but buyers pushed it up. Where is your next entry point?
270. Oh,
Okay. Greg said somewhere around 280. I heard a 270.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? I understand why Greg said what he said. Why? Because we got new support, you know what I'm saying? We got new support right here. Price pushed up through this level and it found some buyers and went up and came back down, found some more buyers and went up, right? I like this historical level as well. I like this 265. I don't see where, so the 280-ish is, I'm assuming that's what you was talking about, Edgar, right? You was talking about this 280 area right here. Okay. I see why you said that, and you're right. Okay. I like this 265 area. I didn't even, when I asked this question, I didn't even see this area right here. So great. Thank you for pointing that out. Right. So these are two areas that can be where you buy. The reason I don't like, I'm sorry, I can't say I don't like it. The reason why this area ain't as strong to me yet is because it hasn't become resistance. It's always been support. Right. But historically, with this particular company, we see that the strongest buying areas have been areas that was once resistance that have now become support. That's where we see the strongest areas at. All right. So if I was a patient trader, and I'm not, that's why I've lost so much money in the past, then I would wait for it to come down to this 265. Okay. So again, we got another level here. Okay, we see a mountain high here. This is support and resistance. It came back down. Now I would like, if I saw price come back down to this 318, I'm gonna get in. This is another buy area for me. Like I want to see it hit this 318 because it was once resistance. It found some support here. It came down and wicked off of it. It found some support and went up. I want to see it come back down to this 318 before I get back in. There's a little itty bitty small gap here. I like that, Greg. See, Greg sees something you know what I mean, that he trades a different kind of way that I don't trade that way. And guess what? He's right and I'm right. Right? There is a lot of support right here. I'm sure that's probably what he sees. It's a lot of support right here, right? I also do see another gap here. It's a small gap, right? But it's a good thing that what happens if we, you know what I'm saying, if we all giving this type of information in the chat while Dennis is doing his thing. I see another gap here, right? So what this tells me, guess what? If me and Greg was in the chat and we was talking to, who is that? Barbara, who got in this trade. Barbara like, hey guys, I think Palo Alto is bullish. Greg would have been like, I want to see it come back down to 339.53. I'd have been like, well, I see a buyer's gap at 350, 351.4. It can come down as low as 345. So if price came to 351, I would get in. If it came down to 345, I would stay in. But if it came outside of 345, I would exit that particular trade and wait for it to hit this before I got back in. Or I could just buy me enough time to where if it came down, it'd turn around and be bullish, right? And I'm assuming this yellow line that he drew was maybe maybe resistance. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But maybe this is some resistance that he sees
Yeah, I'm waiting
somewhere.
to see if what happens after it breaks that area.
Okay, that's fair, right? So if we were if we were all on the trade, if we were all in the chat together, and Barbara gave her thesis, right? She would have been able to have people to be like, you know what, this is what I see. Somebody else would have chimed in like, this is what I see. So pretty much what Greg just said is he wants to see what happens when price breaks this area if he was bullish, right? My thesis would say I want to see price break and retest this area before I'm bullish. Or I want to see price come down to 351 before I'm bullish. Again, everybody has so many different ways to trade. It took us 20 minutes to chart one company and we went way back. So if you are the person that has a million different companies on your watch list and your chart don't look something like this, then you might have FOMO. You might not be doing your research. You might just be waiting for Dennis to give you a call out. You might just be waiting for earnings and you might be wanting to gamble. Like, oh, matter of fact, let's do this. And I swear we're leaving this time. Let's go to the after hours because they had earnings today. And wait a minute, before I do that, I want everybody to take note of my chart. Like it ain't gonna change, the lines ain't gonna change, but I want to see where earnings news brought Palo Alto down to today. It ain't hit none of our lines, but it's damn close to this 280. 282.54 line. Let's go back to the daily and see what that 282.54 line was.
So you're getting in there, 282.
282. Guess what, y'all? Hold on. Here is a line that we drew. This was the first line that Greg said. This is the first line that Greg said. Remember, Greg was like, he would get in here, and I told you I don't like it. Like, I want to see this line become resistance before I trust it. But guess what? Price came all the way down to this is the 282.54. I said I wanted to come to 265. Greg said he was good right here, 282.54. So look what price came down to today. Price came down to 288. So it's right at the 282.54 line, right? Okay. Like the
Wow,
charts
that's
don't lie.
amazing.
And guess what? If you look
And
at
you're
this
right.
candle,
Yeah.
it's not done coming down. Okay.
So
Yeah, I feel like it's not done.
It's not done
It's gonna
coming
hit
down.
your 265.
That's
It could.
that's a big move right there, boy. It takes
That's
a
a
lot of money
huge
to get it
move.
done.
That's a huge move, right? So that's 100. That's almost $100 move, right?
Damn, that's a lot of money, right?
Exactly. So if somebody was in puts, they're gonna rake up with a nice little chunk, chunk of change tomorrow.